We used to struggle with customers' item size and weights and the cost for inaccurate estimates. And we also ultimately had to cancel some jobs. It was when we found LiveSwitch Contact. Their video tool for quoting changed everything. We saved $5,000 in the first month alone. And our only regret is we didn't try them sooner. All right, y'all. So, welcome to another episode of Mornings with Movers. I am Dwight Mack with Moving Force, as well as Max Moving Training, your on-demand team for every move, as well as training. So, if you guys need to train your moving staff, we are that go-to company. But we got a special guest in the building. We also got Ryan joining us. So, super excited. Ooh. Ryan out here putting out dumpster fires early. Look at him, got his beanie on and everything.
I feel so topless.
But yeah, we have an amazing guest, Lon Blias, sorry.
Blaze like fire.
Blaze, I like it. And he's the neighborhood angel. But let me tell you a little bit more about this awesome guy who started a junk removal company, but not the traditional junk removal company. The junk removal company that wanted to give back. We could charge you more, take your dump, get rid of it. Or, we can find public service where we can give it away to people that was in need. And from what I heard, it exploded, but I'll let the man himself speak about it a little bit more. Lon, take it away.
So, yeah, 10 years ago, last July, a friend of mine called me. I was a retired teacher, and I was always looking for pickup work. It's something I've always done. I've always been the guy that did someone a favor. Kind of not for pay, but sometimes for pay, kind of depending on how big the job was. It was just my nature to do it. And he asked me to clean out an apartment near where I live. That's why he asked me. I gave me a month to do it. So I went armed with only myself, some plastic bags, and a Kia Soul. And I needed to empty a two-bedroom apartment. Lots of really good stuff, and I thought, just this stuff is really good. So I did the traditional route, having never done this before. I called a charity, and the charities are like, "Oh, we can get to you in 6 to 8 weeks. Please send us pictures first." Um, uh, I sent them pictures. They said, "Well, we'll take like this item and that item," but there was so much, and I thought, someone's got to really want this, and so I went. And I found secondary charities, ones that, not the big charities, the ones that are sort of traditionally known for taking, particularly furniture. And I found smaller charities, one called We Do Good Works. I'm in the New York City area. We Do Good Works. They outfit public housing units. And they're always looking for beds and desks and standing lamps because public housing doesn't have overhead lighting, that sort of thing. And they came in, they took a whole bunch of stuff and gave me a receipt to give my friend. To use against his taxes for a charitable donation. So I just kept finding more and more of those as I was cleaning out this apartment, having never done it before, taking an entire month to clean out a two-bedroom apartment, a little bit at a time. When I would go home, I was only 6 blocks from the job. I would take stuff in my car and just put it out to my curb with a sign that said free. And when I would come out of the house for lunch, the stuff was gone. Now, I live in New York City, so it's a fairly traveled street. So I started to note I did that every day because it was emptying out really fast. And I was putting out, bottles of detergent and, spare rolls of paper towels and that sort of like everything. And it would all disappear. So finally, I bump into one of the people taking it and I realize he's been taking stuff almost every day that I've been putting it out. Okay. And he was connected with his church and he said this. So I said, "Hey, why don't you just come directly to the apartment and take what you want?" And this sort of gave me the idea. At the very same time, realtors are walking through this apartment that I'm cleaning out, and they're like, "Oh, we see that you're moving. Please consider us for your representation selling your apartment." I was like, "Oh, no, no, I'm just emptying the space out." And every one of them leaned in with this big smile and went, "You clean out spaces?" And I went, "No, I'm just doing a favor." And by the time I got to like the sixth or seventh guy, I just went, "Yeah, yeah, I do," because it was obvious that this was sort of a need. And it's been my goal from the beginning to not throw away stuff just because it's my nature. It's perfectly good stuff. Who needs to throw it away? And also, let's not hire a dumpster. Let's not have employees. You know what I mean? So I basically now someone calls me and wants to empty out a house. I go in, take a picture of everything that doesn't have to die, and I send it out to 30 charities. I send it out to 318 people I have on my picker list. I call them my piranha. They come in and they just descend on the place and they take stuff. I don't even start to clean it. I just, they love to want, it's a treasure hunt for them. And I'm at the point now where I'm getting 50, 60, 70% of the stuff in a house, including pianos and bedroom sets and armoires, taken away by someone. No labor, no carting, no dumping fees. And with the client, I go, okay, I bring in a carting person, sometimes a separate carting person, like another business, and I said, what would it cost to empty this space? And they give them a price, and I said, how about this? For every $1,000 I save you off of that price by cleaning out stuff, by giving it away, I'll charge you $200. And they're like, okay, so that takes a $10,000 clean out and turns it into a $6,000 clean out. It works really well. I thought that was a cool business to start with.
As a moving business owner, your day starts with a plan. But what happens when your movers don't show and that plan falls apart? Last minute no-shows. You're left to bootstrap, jumping in as an extra body. Yet sometimes, even that's not enough. This isn't just a disruption, it's a barrier to your business growth. Introducing Moving Force, your on-demand moving team. With Moving Force, say goodbye to no-shows and hello to peace of mind. With reliable, on-demand staff ensures you're never undermanned, turning your operational nightmares into a thing of the past. Moving Force, where every day is moving day and every move is smooth. Empower your business and keep growing without missing a beat. Join Moving Force today and move forward with confidence.
Then, this very first job, my friend said, I think you saw that the electrical switch in the second bedroom is off and the sink in the bathroom is slow. Do you know anyone that could fix that? And I went, oh yeah. And I sent my buddy the plumber and my buddy the electrician over. And I said, hey, here's a job if you want it. Talk to my friend. They both booked the job. And a month later, I got a check from both of them. And I was like, what's this for? And I'm dim, or was at the time. And they're like, it's a referral fee, Lon. I'm like, oh. Oh. And now, when I'm sitting in someone's house, separating their garbage from what they're taking along with them or helping them, clean out their parents' house and stuff, they turn to me and go, hey, Lon, do you know someone who, electrician, plumber, stonemason, garage door guy, fence person, all these things. I make it my business to know someone who does. And I have a working relationship with all those people that for directing them to this job, I get a small referral fee. And
Hmm.
that's kind of how I operate.
Okay, okay.
I used to do a bunch of the junk removal myself in the beginning. Now I call in other smaller, I call them my Uber trash guys. They're not junk removal businesses, but they're a guy that has a truck that is in use for his business 4 or 5 days a week, and his truck isn't doing anything. So I said, well, why don't you find out what it would take to, what you charge me to fill your car with this stuff that I can't give away that's proper junk and throw it away. And they do that work.
Okay,
So
okay.
I'm getting lots of people work, and my wife has, I'm not a young man anymore. I wasn't even a young man when I started this, and my wife is like, "Honey, I love you. Best thing about you is you can move a piano. Worst thing about you though is you can move a piano." So she said it's time for me to kind of stop doing that. And she's probably right. I hurt myself now. I'm kind of screwed. So I'm trying to be I said in the next, couple of years, I want to be, like the Frank Purdue of my company. That, you see me on the commercials, you see me in public settings, and I'm selling the business, and I'll run the business, but not do the physical labor. And
All
that's
right, Lon,
where I am at this point.
I guess let me ask you. So is it I guess your business is a single one man team right now, it seems like.
Well, yes, in that if I do any work, I refer people out, and they make their deal with the client. So that client becomes, that plumber, that electrician, that stonemason, they make a contract with the other person. They don't make a contract with me. I'm a connector. I'm a professional guy who knows a guy, you know.
Okay. Go ahead, Ryan.
We, that's it. It brings a good question, Lon. What is your service radius? I'm about 4 hours west of you. I'm literally in the process of moving right now.
Okay. I do.
And I heard you mention dumpster, and I just had one delivered, but I don't want to throw a lot of this stuff out. So what does one do, right? There's not many charitable
Well,
places in my area.
something that I do is I try to connect with like as many organizations, let them know. There are lots of resource things. If you're in the process of emptying a house, while you're emptying the house, you can go onto Craigslist and go and drop in their free area and say, I'm removing the contents of the house. Come by, take anything you want. That is going to get some of it gone. You don't have the reputation for it. I do now. When I put stuff in my driveway now, people are sometimes helping me load it out of my car as I pull in because they know stuff is going to be there. I've lost lawn furniture because people get so enthusiastic about the free stuff in my driveway. But I've done jobs in Massachusetts, Florida, and Ohio. That's the furthest that I've gone. Not not the little jobs changing grandma's battery in her smoke alarm, because I do stuff like that. I do, you got a problem, you call me. If I can't fix it, I know someone who can. If I don't know someone who can, give me a couple hours and I will. So I generally, I connect people, but I do as much as I can. You need someone tutored in English? Former teacher. You need someone to perform a wedding for you? I can do it. You need someone to notarize your paperwork? I can do that. Every time I see a skill that I go, oh, I could do that. I have played Santa on the spur a couple of times. I put up someone's Christmas tree. You know what I mean? It's just, it's it. I kind of have a lot of fun doing it. It is my goal to become one of those YouTube guys that does what he or she does for nothing. Because I'm called the neighborhood angel. Who better than an angel to give away what he does for a living? So yeah, I learned the template, how to create this clean out system. And then a friend of mine in Ohio said, can you do it? I said, give me a month. And a month later, I went into the place and it emptied out in 5 hours, because so many people were interested in the stuff that was to be gotten rid of.
All right, guys, my name is Brandon. I'm with Max Move Management, and here's 11 steps on how to have a perfect move. The first one, the office should call, or your dispatcher should call the customer 2 days prior to arrival. The reason for this is just in case the customer has a closing on the house, maybe they weren't able to secure, a babysitter for the child or a pet sitter. You definitely want to call 2 days in advance. This helps the customer be prepared, and you make sure that you as well know that you're going to a customer that's also prepared. 2, the crew should also call the customer prior to arrival to the home. After the guys have already geared up, you got all your equipment in your truck, you got your address punched into your GPS, go in either the driver or the helper, give the customer a call or a quick text, let them know that you're en route to your location, and provide them with the ETA. This also sets the expectation for the customer to be back home just in case they want to drop their kids off to school. For the third one, look to keep the customer happy, break the ice in the beginning. So pretty much this means when you walk up to the house, knock on the door with your best mannerism that your mother taught you, or father, you knock on the door, introduce yourself. Hi, my name is Brandon. I'm the foreman. This is my helper. And you introduce the team that you have with you.
So I guess let me ask, do you run the battle of the entrepreneurship of being, hey, I want to help as many people as possible.
Yeah.
Then I also have to juggle the lifestyle of, being able to maintain with, living, unless you have other work aligned.
No. Because in the end, like I said, you take a traditional, like nationally known junk removal business. I watched one walk in, give a $10,000 quote that somehow, because of a little fee here and a little fee there, ended up being $23,000. When I heard the $10,000 price, I said I would have done it for $6,000. You know what I mean? But I found that when I'm the very first quote someone gets, When you say $6,000 to throw away trash, people get like really offended, and that's a really good price. Do you know what I mean? So I just do everything that I can to minimize what I'm actually throwing away. And that's what people are paying for. They're paying for the savings, if you know what I mean, rather than pay a traditional junk removal company to pull up with one or two trucks, fill it with, using the use of five guys. I have 300 people descend on the house, taking three floor tiles, a roll of paper towels, this desk, that end table, and none of those people are charging you to do that, and its stuff is all disappearing.
Well, this
Okay.
brings up a good question. I gotta ask you this one because I like $6,000 worth of trash removal, which that sounds like a lot. Like, what is your typical home that you go into, apartment, condo? Because I'm thinking this from a moving aspect. Like, I'm not taking much stuff from the home here, but I am moving 15, 20 minutes away, and that move price is like
Well,
20, 100 bucks to move.
I did a house last week, and um, well, of junk, we did three box cars full. Basically, the box truck holds what a 30-yard dumpster would do. We carried away three truckloads. That was just pure junk. We also I pulled away um, 57 bags of clothing that got donated somewhere. Um, I had a pickup truck fill up three times with metal scrap that the guy took away for nothing because he got the metal scrap out of it. And then I had four or five of my pickers fill up their SUVs with stuff that could have gone in the dumpster, but now got taken. You know what I mean?
So I'm trying to wrap my head around three train cars worth of junk come. So are these like typically hoarders' homes? Are these like really massive? Because I'm just
I've,
trying
I,
to. I think of
I,
three train cars or three 30-yard dumpsters. That is a ton
yeah.
of
Well,
material.
when it's every stick of furniture, and then every stick that they had, but they used, I pull four and five couches out of a house because they put one in the basement and one in the thing, and they're not
Yeah.
even sat on. Oh yeah, this house was dumb. I couldn't see the floor when I came in, you know, on all three floors. Couldn't see the floor. Um, 57 bags of trash, if you strew it everywhere, occupies a lot of space. Once you condense it, it becomes much smaller. I drive a Kia Soul. It filled my soul
Yeah.
three times.
So do you, so obviously you have a way of not, I guess, nickel and diming the customer because obviously you are giving the stuff away. But do you have a way where you're
Well, I charge them a fee for basically reducing the overall price off the top. I always say it's if an apartment's like $200, if it's a house that's anywhere from 500 to 1,000, that I'm going to be calling charities, negotiating and working with them for arrival times to come and take all the stuff. I charge that. That would normally, if it were just pure junk, have cost instead of 500, cost them 5,000. Do you know what I mean? So I get that done. I'm posting stuff online all the time, pictures to draw. I have the Neighborhood Angel has its own Facebook page, and it has its own even giveaway page where I put pictures of stuff that, I have. Anyone want this? Come and get it. It's yours to have. And I'm not bringing it to someone's house, although that has happened. It's funny. That's why when you saw my relationship with moving companies, um, sometimes I get you the job in that, like, I don't want to be moving. I just want to be removing, if you know what I mean. Um, um, and I'll get to a point where there's this beautiful armoire that this guy who picks furniture really wants but can't fit in his vehicle. And I'll go, well, if you pay X, my guy with a pickup truck. So I'm always looking for guys with an empty vehicle who want to pick up something, pick up some money. But sometimes there's 12 pieces they want taken to a storage space because they don't want to throw the furniture away, but they're trying to empty the house so they can sell it. So they need someone to transport it from the house to the storage space. So I have moving companies, guys with trucks that I call in, and sometimes I'll have one of you guys call me going, I need a layer of trash removed from this house before I can remove the stuff that's being saved at all. So I come in before or even after the moving job.
Are you in search of a side gig? Get ready to land the ultimate side hustle. Don't let this opportunity slip away. Join Moving Force as a mobile mover. Enjoy the freedom to set your own hours, earn excellent income, and be your own boss. Apply now. Download the app for free, available on the App Store. It's time to make a move, both figuratively and literally.
Okay, and that's why they call you the neighborhood angel. Because I'm like, when I got into the junk removal space, I was like, they were telling me, oh well, you could donate this to here, you can make money by using the precious metals and taking it here, and I'm just like, you know what,
You
it's a
know,
straight shot. I'm picking up and I'm going to the junkyard.
right. And you know what? People love what I've done is I've just found people who are specifically good at one thing, and all I do is ask them to do that one thing, as opposed to, well, I don't normally do that. I want to do this, that's it. If I'm asking you to, I know other moving companies do junk removal, and I know they don't like it, they just, can we just do what we're trained to do? So what I try to do on top of this is if, the other gentleman said that he's like 4 hours away. I'll have someone who's like in Chicago going, can you come here? And while I have traveled, I also said, if you give me an hour or two, I can teach you how to do this. In essence, is that I always say what I do, I think anyone could do. It's not like I needed university training to figure this out. But if you haven't figured it out, then you need someone to tell you. And I will happily spend an hour or two with you going, okay, here's steps that you can take to reduce the job, lateral the job out to other people, and how to do that.
Okay.
Because I don't want to be a franchise. Someone said, you should franchise this, you should Shark Tank this. And, removing junk is not something that, you have a patent on. It's just something you learn how to do better or worse. So I would love to just make money on, at this point, as I'm, no longer lifting pianos on my own. I would like to teach people how to do that and charge that so that they can do it. Let them be a neighborhood angel in Peoria, Illinois, or, St. Louis Obispo, California, that sort of thing. Because I just basically come in when people run out of hands. They like, I don't know how to do this. I always say, if you're too busy, too tired, don't know how, don't want to, or need a hand doing it, that's why you call me. No matter what it is. I have stood in line at a passport office for someone who, was stuck in a meeting and he just needed his passport. I went, okay. I stood there. He came by and I left and he continued in line.
Now, with your business concept, because I partner with a company called Live Switch who does a lot of video surveying and stuff like that. How do your clients get you like the info to let you know how much stuff they have? Do they send you pictures or do you have to go on site all the time?
People have always offered to send me pictures or even dimensions of stuff, and I'm sorry, there's you can get two couches and they're exact same couches, and depending what site they're being removed from, it's a whole different job. If I'm taking sleep sofa down a 3-story walk up, or I'm taking, a couch that's brand new, and they bought it from mom and dad, and then tragically mom and dad were no longer with us. There's a place to bring that. There's a way to do that, and it's light as a feather because it's newer. You know what I mean? It's just there's nuances to every job. So I always insist on going to the job to look at it, to give any sort of final price at all.
Okay. So I would say definitely because of the company Live Switch that I partner with, I would recommend, we could talk more after the episode, but I would definitely recommend probably sending them over like a link to just record their home so that you kind of get a feel for it without having, especially in New York City, without having to drive everywhere.
I understand your point, but I have found that when I go there, there are no surprises because, well, I'll give you, someone hired me to empty the place. I went and looked at it. Now, this is a place I went to, and I gave them an assessment of the price. I start emptying it, and as I'm halfway through the attic, I said, "Do you want me to empty out these 2 rooms up here?" To which the owner, the 3rd generation in the house, said, "What 2 rooms?" He didn't even know that there were rooms up there. It's very hard for me to price 2 rooms that were packed full of stuff, not knowing they're there, And I'm always saying, I always sit and give a full description of the room, you know, the contents, because sometimes the contents sort of doubles, or sometimes they'll go, oh, you know what? We wanted you to do the garage too. And they think, oh, now that they just said the garage, we can just add the garage into the price that, we agreed on. And it's like, no, no, no. You just upped this job by 30% by throwing in the garage, that sort of thing. So I've always found going to it is best. Listen, if I'm traveling, uh, my friend had me, my best friend who was in Ohio, moved to Israel, and then moved back to New York, said, could you go empty my space out in Ohio? And I drove out there and I emptied it, you
Okay,
know?
okay. Ryan, on your end, um, yeah. So I know that you say you're moving like what, 20, 25 minutes away?
Yeah, and you would think, right? Me being in the moving industry for 15 years, the boxing, the labeling, being prepared, starting to declutter, pay. Knowing all of this, like, and I've only moved a couple times, but again, it was always with a pickup truck and doing, moving very minimal pieces. I am blown away how stressed, how my brain is just going sideways, and I'm not doing the little thing. I'm not even following the process that I typically preach about, because I'm such
Exactly.
a just a straggle brain, right? Like I didn't think I was going to have a dumpster. I called last night at 4:30 because I'm like, man, I can't do this unless I remove this. And we're not taking it to the new home. I'm not going to take the time to list every piece on Marketplace for $50, $100. I'd rather just have somebody come in, either take it now, not tomorrow, not next week, not 3 weeks. I want it done now, or it's going in that dumpster. Um, but I'm just, I'm gonna document a little bit of this process throughout my move, because again, someone as a professional mover, I would say I'm struggling right now, and I'm struggling big time.
That's just because we are biased to our own things. Like we are the hoarder of our own things, where we're just like, you know what, I don't want to get rid of this because it may have significant value, or it's in pristine shape that I just, throwing this beautiful thing away would just be hardship. But
I got no problem tossing. I have no problem tossing anything. I will tell you that. I'm not going to tell you some of the things that were tossed out
The
yesterday,
range
but
of what the range of what people will save and the reasons for which they will save it and or throw it away, the spectrum is insane, because I walk into places and there are people that have like, you know, the wrapper that bread came in, and they're saving 40 of them, you know, and at a certain point, even if you save them, do you need 40 of them? They're just in the habit of saving. This is what they've done, so they always do it. I will tell you that my wife has a rule when I do this. If I bring anything home from any one of these houses, for myself, thinking, oh, it's cool, I should keep that. My wife says, something comes into our house, something goes. That's the rule.
mm,
and how often do you follow that, Lon?
Very honestly, I at this point,
you know, sneak pieces in.
no, I see something really cool right at the beginning, and there's always like a room that I said, this is the off limits area. The owner wants these three things, and I'll put this thing that I think is really cool, little piece of furniture, piece of art, and I'll put it in that room. And honest to God, after doing that stuff after 10 years, I get to the end of the few days and I look at that thing and go, I don't need that. It's like it's an impulse buy. So I impulse put it aside. And then in the long run, but I will say that I have not bought Windex in a decade, you know, because everyone has 6 half bottles of Windex in the house that's being emptied out, and that's going to get thrown away. And I used to like unscrew it and dump it out and make recycling bags, until I saw that the pickers came in and took half a bottle of Windex. They will take half a gallon of paint, stuff that I was sure would absolutely was going into a dumpster. They took 3 floor tiles. I have artists that know that I do this, and they come and get medium, things that they use to create art, and that's something that I've learned in 10 years. I've learned who wants what kind of stuff. Teachers always want, stuff. You have reams of paper, there are teachers that can go to. So I have, but those people also exhaust themselves. I had a teacher that took stuff, and I gave her so much stuff that she couldn't take anymore. So I had to find a new teacher. Do you know what I mean? So I'm always looking for one more, be it one more client, one more picker, one more plumber, because he's in an area that I don't go too often, that sort of thing. I'm always looking for one more.
I gotcha. All right, y'all. So we are at the top of the time. This episode goes by really fast every week, but
Quick.
it's always amazing to really just meet new people, get ideas out there on how we can be making our business a little better, just to be that separator down the road. We don't want to be company A. We don't want to be company B. We want to be our company. So these ideas that we're always throwing out there is ideas to define who you ultimately want to be and just give you ideas. So y'all keep crushing it out there. Lon, it was an amazing. Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
And
Someone wants either a house cleaned out, I don't care where they are. I love to travel. Long as, there's heat and, a working bathroom, I can sleep on the floor. I'm not, I am very, very Spartan in how I go about this. I can get a house cleaned out for them. Like I said, any place that's, more than an hour or two away from where I am in New York, I generally want at least 2, even like 4 weeks lead on it so that I can find the pickers and the charities in that area. Like in Ohio, I didn't know anyone. By the time I got there, I knew 10 people. Do you know what I mean?
okay, all right. So we'll have your calling card down on the video. Everybody, again, reach out to the neighborhood angel if you need that extra help with removal or just, you just want to help people out the best way you can. But it's been a pleasure. Again, I'm Dwight with Moving Force. We got Ryan Marsh with Super Move and Lon Blias with the Neighborhood Angels. Y'all take care. Keep crushing it out there.
Thank you so much.